And we are live. Hello and welcome. So, in this month's episode of State of the Market, we're hoping to talk to Philemon in just a moment. He's only got a limited amount of time, so as soon as he comes on, we'll cut to his part because he's only going to be on for a little bit, just to talk about what he's doing with Decred Africa, what he's done in the past with his Decred work, and just hopefully to get some insights. So that should be interesting on its own. There's also a whole bunch of stuff to talk about what's happened in the crypto space this month. But before we do that, Exodus, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Excited to talk about Decred. We have some pretty interesting things to discuss today about the DEX, about some new initiatives. So I'm happy to get into it.
Ah, good man. Yeah, it's been. I mean, these things always go so quickly, and I feel like it was only yesterday we were talking and stuff. But there's always so much that happens in the crypto space, and I absolutely love it. But the first thing that probably has escaped nobody's attention is Monero being selfish mind attacked. Um, that was happening throughout the month. There was another one a couple of days ago that got to a 3 block reorg, but the longest it's been so far is a 6 block reorg. And what they've been doing is they've basically been mining in secret. And so they mine a block, then they mine a whole bunch of other blocks in secret, and then they publish their latest block maybe 6 blocks later. And then anybody mined a block during that time between the first one that they kind of had in the chain and then the longest chain six blocks later basically gets all of their rewards taken away from them. So it kind of becomes pointless not to be on this selfish mining chain. And there was a few things. I mean, I went on to um, Joel from Joel Desert Links' podcast, and they were talking about it quite extensively. But the one thing that kind of captures me is in order to selfish mine, in order to kind of do this in secret, you basically need to be able to mine empty blocks so that nobody can pick up on the difference. And no one can see, hey, actually, there should be a block there. And anybody that's any chain that now allows for that, you can literally, I mean, it's kind of a blueprint for these attacks happening. An interesting factor that I've seen from the Monero people as well is the cubic miner that's kind of initiated all this didn't actually have 51% of the hash either. They had approximately 30 to 33% of the hash. So they've orchestrated this attack with the minimum amount of hash power, and they didn't even buy that hash power in either. They just kind of like got people to join their pool. So in terms of expense, it wasn't that expensive either. I had it calculated at approximately 75,000. I can't remember if that was per day or per hour. I think that was per day. Um, and some of the big publications actually said it was something like 75 million per day, which was absolutely crazy. So that was wrong. But have you got any thoughts on what happened with Monero being a top 20 coin
All,
as well, which is
all I can say,
crazy?
I'm happy I have a lot of Decred. I'm happy that's not an issue with Decred, and we're so lucky to be in a chain that is so secure and doesn't have to worry about some of these problems with proof of work, where the proof of stake is just providing so much of the security. And it really just makes you appreciate that sometimes, like, because sometimes being in a layer 1 coin can be a little tricky in these cases. And with Decred, they have the security element completely solved, and I think that's one of the biggest elements of cryptocurrency that makes it attractive. So a chain like Decred that is smaller than Monero in terms of market cap and community, just doesn't have these issues, and we don't have to worry about these issues going forward. So I think that's a big win for us. But I am hoping Monero gets this completely solved. I like the Monero community. I think we have a lot of synergy together with Decred. To quote one XMR guy, he said, Decred's solving the cypherpunk ethos in a little bit of a different way than Monero. Obviously, the transactions aren't always private by default, but we do have this super interesting, private stakeholder governance system, and obviously the shared background with Taco Time as a developer. But yeah, it's super interesting to see that play out.
I mean, it is interesting, and I never expected it in a long time that an attack like this, a selfish mining attack where they're reorging, could happen to a top 100 chain. Um, you can see it happening with pure proof of work chains like that are a lot lower cap that aren't worth very much, but in the top 20 that did come as a bit of a surprise. One comment that came up in the Twitter space that I was on is, oh, but you guys are not getting attacked because you're too low market cap. It's not profitable enough to attack you. But the actual, before we cut the miner hash rate, profitability was actually incredible for miners. So yeah, I don't buy into that at all. Actually, there's so much profit to be made in all of these chains. You know, it's actually the mechanism. The mechanism basically says you'll have as much hash rate as you need to be profitable. So yeah, I don't actually buy in that. I think pretty much any chain that's pure proof of work at this point should be worried about an attack. And I don't buy in that just because you're a lower cap, you don't have to worry about this. What comments we got, Exodus? We got a few today. Philemon's just said he's coming in just a moment. Check my DMs. Okay, I'll do that now. You go for the.
Yeah, our Burnus says all roads continue to lead towards Decred. Very true. And speaking of Monero they are working on it for the DEX. It's going to take time because they have to rewrite a bunch of stuff to accommodate Monero, but it is in progress, and hopefully that'll be a big improvement for the DEX, a great boon for the DEX to have Monero listed and get that community on board. And I think they're more capable than most other communities when it comes to supporting an atomic swap DEX, which is a little more complicated, a little more sophisticated than your normal centralized exchange. So that's coming.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I've just sent Philemon the link again. Apparently he was having trouble getting in.
Yeah, he has to tell me he has to use Chrome. Chrome usually works best with, I believe it works best with the StreamYard.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's on his way. What was you just saying? Sorry.
I was talking about, we're talking about Monero, how it's going to be on the DEX. Did you want to maybe discuss the new DEX initiative with their research on the new design?
Well, I mean, there's only so much we can share here because it's all kind of top secret hush stuff. But myself and Exodus have actually had a preview of what this kind of UI kind of overview or new kind of look is going to be. And I don't know about you, Exodus, but I was incredibly impressed by it. I thought it looks modern, which is hard because the DCRDEX or Bison Wallet already looks pretty modern. So to get some of these really kind of finite things ironed out is absolutely incredible. But I can't share any more than that because these guys are working on it. But one thing that they've asked us to do, and this is Buck and John, which is a new contributor, they've asked us to say that there is a Bison Wallet testing campaign happening. They're looking for six users of varying descriptions. So from different communities, non-coiners, and maybe even a couple from Decred to actually participate in going through the new interfaces and kind of looking at the usability of this to see if they can eke out all improvements before this gets put into code. Right. Anything to add there before I get Philemon on?
You can find the link for that at the Bison Wallet Twitter page. It's very easy.
And here he is. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay. Good evening, guys.
Yeah, very well. Exodus, we'll come back to that in a minute, but I want to do Philemon stuff first because I know you're limited for time. But how are you today?
All good. I'm glad to be here today.
Fantastic. Now, we've been in conversation with Philemon for about 2 or 3 weeks now. And he and his team are trying to put together an initiative to kind of reboot Decred Africa. Now, we've had varying successes with these kind of national incentives. So we've got Decred Brazil, Decred Africa, Decred Australia, and there's a few others that kind of fizzle out a little bit. But the idea here is that we're gonna revamp it, we're gonna rebuild it, and we're gonna push down a new initiative with the team. Now, before we get into that, Philemon, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and can you tell us a little bit about what you do for the Decred community already?
Sure. So my name is Philemon Ukane, and I started up my career as a software engineer, and that was about 4 years ago. I started working with the Decred team. I've worked across several Decred projects, including DCRDATA, VSPD, Bison Wallet, which is, of course, the DCRDEX, yes. And aside from that, I've also been engaged with other software companies, and projects outside of the Decred ecosystem, outside of blockchain ecosystem. And one of the top industries I've also been playing in include the healthcare sector in Africa. And what I'm doing there is actually trying to build the largest, how would I put it, the largest aggregator of medical labs to increase accessibility to diagnostic services. And we're doing this by providing a platform that connects medical labs, that's diagnostic centers, to patients. And then these labs can also utilize our platform to improve how they use technology, kind of improve their services, and also gain more from technology without having to spend a lot of money upfront. Yes, so that's what I've been doing for the past couple of months.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you've been here a long time. I remember even for Cypherpunk Times, I did an article back, about 4 years ago now, I suppose. But it's always been a keen observation of mine to kind of get to know who the developers are for Decred and kind of get to see what they're working on. And unfortunately, in our current space, they're kind of closed behind doors at the minute. So it's nice that you've come on today to kind of share some of that. It's also nice to hear that you're working in the health department or the health sector, which is absolutely incredible. So let's get to the Decred Africa stuff then. Let's just try and unwind what you're trying to do with Decred Africa stuff. Why is this important to the community, and what do you hope to achieve? What kind of goals and initiatives are you hoping to achieve?
Okay, so I recall about 3 years ago, that would be August 11th, 2022. An interview with me was posted on the Cypherpunk Times. Yeah, I think I had an interview with you. And if anyone could go back, I would like to even post a link to the interview so people can go back there and read about what I discussed in that interview. Towards the end of my interview, I did mention about Decred expanding its horizon, getting more eyeballs, getting more attention, exploring new initiative in terms of the marketing aspect. And 3 years down the line, I've still been thinking about it. Yes, so my plan for Decred Africa is to make it the engine, right, to push Decred in this part of the world. And there are a lot of initiatives we have in place that we want to try out. But we'll start off with content creation, because in every industry, when you bring something new, the first thing you want to do is to educate people. You don't want to start selling to them, right? You want to educate them about what you're doing, and that is what we want to start out with. And we've already done that in the past couple of weeks. We are educating people about Decred on X, and we want to be consistent doing that, and also kick off other initiatives that we have in our plan.
Exitus, I mean, this is more your domain with the Vanguard project, but what are you seeing so far?
Yeah, you guys are posting some nice threads on Twitter and being proactive, which is good. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you want to break out of kind of the typical Decred bubble. You don't want just people in Decred to see your posts. You want people who've never heard of Decred to see the post and interact with it. And that's really the challenge, I think, with Twitter and social media in general and marketing in general is trying to break out of that bubble. But obviously you guys are, I don't know who exactly your team is, but it's good work, and you guys are, trying to get the word out, which is important. So yeah, I like it for sure. I like the initiative.
What? Yeah,
yes, I would like to add.
Sorry.
I'd like to add. Can I add something now? Is that fine?
I wasn't going to cut in. Yeah. There's a bit of a lag. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. So last year, last year we did a Decred Bison Wallet presentation at an event. It's a Google festival, Google DevFest, where developers from all over the region, Port Harcourt, River State, come together and discuss technology and any other related topics that they've already planned out for the event. Yeah, and there were about thousands of people in attendance. So that was our first opportunity to present Decred and the Bison wallet to real people at real events, and they welcomed it so much that there are pictures, of course, there are pictures on the internet about the whole program. They welcomed it so much that about over 280 something people followed the project, the Bison wallet, and also a lot of followers also followed the Decred project, and the excitement is there. The willingness to learn more about what Decred is there. And for the past few months, I've been thinking, how do we put these people interested together in one place? We can't just engage them and not be able to follow up, right? We want to build a community around it. So Decred Africa is here to put everyone together in one place, in one community, so that we can easily reach these people and we can grow their interest in the project.
I'm curious, in that scenario, was it a challenge that Bison Wallet isn't on mobile devices? Did people kind of how did people react to that?
So initially, we focused on the fact that Decred is a blockchain, right? Decred is a blockchain that they need to learn about. We spoke more about Decred than the Bison wallet, and the reason being that Bison is not on mobile yet, right? And a lot of people in this part of the world are mobile users. They have more access to mobile devices than desktop devices, right? So we're not pushing the Bison wallet actively in that event, and their interest was mostly in Web3. So when we spoke about Decred, they wanted to know more. They wanted to join the project and see what opportunities there are in the Decred project and how they can contribute to it.
And I'm just curious, what centralized exchange is most popular? I believe you're in Nigeria. I could be wrong, but
Yes.
in Africa, what is the most popular exchange that people are using?
So the most popular exchanges people use over here include Binance, Bybit, and Roku, and a few others, right? There are several other exchanges, but these are like one of the top three. Then there's Luno. Yes, there's Luno. We are on Binance. Liquidity is on Binance. So I think for most of the users that would want to buy, I've always recommended them to buy on Binance since they are already on the platform. Like I remember some time ago, I did tell my mom, my sister, and a couple of my friends to buy Decred, and they bought. My mom bought about 800 naira, 800,000 naira worth of Decred. My sister also bought about 200,000 naira. That should be about a total of a little over $500. Yeah, and they bought it. Yeah, and they held for some time, but then they had to sell off when they got some profit, and it was good for them. They are looking to try it again. Even my friends that also bought more want to buy. They're even asking because they see how I carry the Decred project, and of course that I've the Decred project. They've seen how I carry it, and they now trust the Decred project because of my personality and who I am.
Yeah, that's
right.
really good.
And could you touch on some of your work? I know you contribute to, say, DCRDATA, DCR Explorer. Can you maybe touch on some of that work and kind of what's going on there? And I noticed some of your stuff you do doesn't get reviewed. Is there like a reason for that? Because I know you've done some good work over there.
Yes. Come again in terms of not get reviewed before Meg or not get reviewed.
I think
well, it's like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I think you've had a DCRDATA up there for a little bit of time. And I was just wondering because both myself and Exitus are talking about getting DCRDATA kind of improved and kind of just some obvious things that need fixing. And one thing I noticed is you've had a request up there, a pull request there for a little time now, and we're just wondering, is there a problem with getting this stuff reviewed, or is there something else that needs kind of to go into that?
Yeah. So the truth of the matter is, for DCRDATA, to the best of my knowledge, there is no team. There's no DCRDATA team anymore. Since Chap left, maintenance role, there wasn't really anyone taking charge of anything. It took me some time to get in touch with D Hill. That's his username on Matrix. D Hill. According to JYP, he's the person in charge of the DCRDATA project at the moment. He deploys the DCRDATA project. So I've been speaking with him. I've been in touch with him, right? And so far, we are trying to work out how we can start measuring PROs that matter to the DCRDATA project. And subsequently, I hope that more Decreed contractors get involved in maintaining the DCRDATA project, because every great software eventually needs consistent maintenance. And the more we get involved, the better we can make this project.
Yeah, because we basically were discussing there's several things there that are like the hash rate chart, for instance, is basically broken. The attack cost calculator is broken, and I think there was maybe one more thing I can't remember,
Just
but basically the exchange
page,
pages were there's no Binance, that's only the DEX. So we were just wondering what is kind of the roadblock, and do we need to find external people? Should we put up even bounties to pay new developers to come in and fix these things? Because I can't imagine these are like radically difficult things to kind of come in and fix, especially something like the hash rate chart. So I was wondering, should we pursue that? We were thinking of maybe even doing a proposal of creating a developer bounty for certain things. And we just wanted to hear your perspective on that, of kind of why these things aren't being fixed, or are you guys even concerned about that stuff?
Good. Well, that's a great initiative. I had thought of that, because in this part of the world, one thing they always look out for is there an opportunity for me to contribute to this ecosystem, right? And when it comes to Decreed, there are a lot of opportunities, both in marketing and in development, writing code. Yeah. So, but then there have to be a structure to compensate these newcomers. If they are to follow the current Decreed model, which is you work for a couple of months, get your skill proven before you become a Decreed contractor, trust me, a lot of people will just simply move on to other things, right? So a kind of developer bounty kind of thing would get people involved, but then we have to deal with other issues like vetting, that is vetting the talent, ensuring we don't receive PRO that take a lot of time to review, right? We want people that know what they're doing to submit PROs, not just everybody, and then we get overwhelmed with substandard PROs or feces, and we have to deal with a lot of code reviews, unnecessary code reviews, right? So, but then in everything, there's always a way to balance things out, and hopefully we can work something that looks or resembles what you've just mentioned.
So is as you've just said, is the act of the maintainer reviewing the code to push it forward and implement, is that, do you think, going to be a major roadblock for this?
Yes. Having someone on the ground to review these PROs and get a mesh can be a roadblock, because trust me, we are all autonomous in Decreed, right? And kind of no one really owes you time to do anything, right? If they are able to, they come on and they do things. So far, I've been trying to do things without being asked to. I've tried to maintain the DCRDATA projects, creating PROs, creating fixes for issues that I've seen, and then not having someone in charge to review. Before now, Chap used to play that role. I think he reviewed a couple of my PROs when I reached out to him, until it was no longer reachable. I've had to even reach out to Dave. I think Dave also reviewed some of my PROs at some point. And now D Hill also looks promising. He's willing to review my PROs and get them meshed.
Yeah, Dave Hill is a great guy, actually, but crazy busy. But yeah, so we've touched on a nice problem there, really. So getting reviewers is also could be part of this thing, if suitable reviewers as well. But yeah, thanks for your insight there. Guys in the audience, 176 people watching. while we've got Phil on here, if there's anything you want to ask him, please go ahead. The question I had was, could you tell us a little bit about the team that you're putting together for the Decred Africa initiative?
Sure. So in the current team, we have me, which of course I lead the strategies and help them see where we should focus more on, and then a bit of kind of putting the team together, managing and setting, like, fleshing things out for whatever initiative we have in place. And then we have Violet. She's on Twitter. I've known her for quite period of time, I think more than a year, and she runs a community. They call it TDN. It's a network of developers, basically people that are skilled professionals that are interested in working with Web3 companies. So through her community and her network, I'm able to get access to Web3 communities in Africa that can give us a soft landing with the Decred project. And she's also in charge of managing content and ensuring that people that create content align with the ethos and vision of the Decred project, the Decred Africa initiative. Well, and there are other people in the team, but we are just the top people that move the needle in the team.
So, I mean, just we'll get back to the development stuff in a minute, but just to get some finite details down. So, what are you proposing to do for Decred Africa stuff? So, kind of just a general overview. What are the kind of the main things that you're hoping to do? We've already seen the threads, the week. I don't even think they're weekly threads. I think they're like every other day threads at the minute, which is awesome. But what other things are you hoping to do?
Okay, so some of the things in our list include Twitter Spaces, hosting Twitter Spaces weekly. That is, about 2 to 4 Twitter Spaces every month. That will give us an opportunity to engage the other Web3 communities we have in Africa at the moment, and then get more eyes on Decred. And then we're also looking to explore real life events. The event we had last year was a success. It was a success. So we're looking to engage in more events, Web3 events, because that's where we find people that are interested in blockchain technology. And so we've got Twitter Spaces planned. We've got real life events. We've also got the content on Twitter, and outside of that, we've got campaigns that will be targeted at getting people to work for Decred, create content for Decred, and it's gonna be tied to events anyway. It's gonna be tied to event, kind of a pre-event thing, but it's gonna come up as a giveaway. But at the same time, they're providing value by creating content for Decred. So we have that, and there are a few other initiatives we just want to flesh out first before we discuss them. But the top ones on our list include, constant content creation on Twitter, growing our Telegram channel. Then real life events, engaging in real life events, and hosting Twitter Spaces that engage the other Web3 communities that we have in Africa.
Just a couple of things up. I mean, the content strategy there seems absolutely great. My main concern is obviously, I'm getting the impression that most of the users in your region are mobile users. So at the moment, you're onboarding them through Binance, which obviously, in terms of a platform strategy, is not the greatest thing. I mean, are you thinking about getting them onto Cake Wallet? Are you think, obviously that's currently our best and greatest kind of mobile app. Or have you got any other kind of plans for what to do in that kind of scenario?
So when it comes to strategy for our platforms, first off, for people in this part of the world, they would most likely look forward to investing. They would want to invest in Decred, that is buy and own Decred tokens. Yes. So if they want to buy at the moment, we do not have a community platform that a Decred platform that lets them buy Decred with fiat, right? We don't have that at the moment. So they most likely want to buy from other platforms and send to either any of our community platforms or keep it in their existing wallets, right? But the main point is getting people into the ecosystem first. Then if they find the need to utilize any of our platforms, since they're in the ecosystem, they have the best information to decide what next, right? But initially, we want to ensure that they have the best of information they need to decide. And then secondly, get involved, skin in the game, buy Decred, right? Then after buying Decred, what next? You want to start contributing to Decred. You want to start creating content for Decred. You want to start doing things that adds value to the community, right? Now, our focus will not be on trying to push specific projects right now. Generally, we want to focus on the Decred ecosystem first, and then when we get people in, we can start creating initiatives for specific projects or platforms that we have in the Decred ecosystem.
I mean, that's absolutely valid point. And I think what I'm getting from that is currently at the moment, if you're the best place for them to buy and hold their Decred is Binance for you guys, which is kind of the feeling that I'm getting about it. So what we really need is to look at obviously more liquidity on Bison Wallet, but also I think Joe's looking at getting us on the cake paste stuff as well, which hopefully should open that. Because I mean, what I'm trying to get at here is my biggest problem is obviously we're going to have new users that are basically not really holders. They're holding their stuff on Binance because that's the cheapest place to buy it. And then once the opportunity comes to sell, they just sell on Binance and they don't really enter into any of the platforms, which is fine. And I completely get where you're coming from. I think that is pretty much going to be the first step for most people. But obviously it's also kind of, as an onboarding perspective, it's also detrimental. And I suppose that's where maybe giveaways could come into it, where you say, right, you can only get a giveaway if you're using Cake Wallet or something like that, just so they're actually using the product. What are your thoughts on that, Exitus?
Yeah, I mean, Cake Wallet's really easy to set up. If people want to hold their coins on Binance, it is what it is. It's not recommended, but obviously you can't stake there, you can't mix, you can't do a lot of the features. I mean, this is just my speculation here, but I know back in the day when they were doing Decred in Latin America, one kind of complaint they got from people when they were trying to market it was that the ticket prices were too high, right? So right now a Decred ticket is about $4,000 US. And for a lot of people in the world outside of, maybe the US and Europe, it's quite difficult to invest that amount of money just for a single ticket, which is going to vote maybe once every, 1 or 2 months. And I was just curious if is that a challenge there? Because that's kind of the big deal with Decred is we promote the governance, that you can become sovereign, that you can become a stakeholder. But obviously, if you aren't willing to invest that much money, it makes the project look a little bit less attractive. So I was wondering if people from your region have given you kind of feedback on that yet.
Now, over here, of course, there are people that can afford to buy that much Decred just to own a ticket and vote. Yes, there are, but these people are not really accessible. But then with my participation in ecosystem events, pushing my startup, I get to meet these people every now and then, and they can learn about what I'm doing with Decred, and they can get interested in Decred and would want to do, buy as much just to own a ticket and then be able to participate. But then for the majority, I think they would be more interested in owning Decred tokens, and of course, Decred will always appreciate. Like the price action will come, right? It will come, but we need to get people invested in Decred, and the first step is buying the Decred token. $10, $20, $50, $100, right? You get like 100, 200 person buying the Decred token in varying amounts. that's a great start, right? Then they can always do more in the ecosystem, but for a start, we want to do what we know is possible and it is easy for them to get started with, which is of course owning a Decred token.
I mean, I want to add to that. I think the first step is definitely getting the tokens. But I think if you're doing Decred Africa or Brazil or whatever, the next step should be get those tokens off of that exchange. You can always put them back later, but get them off that exchange, because obviously that's going to be detrimental to us. If they're holding their coins on an exchange long term, and say Binance does what they've done to Pharaoh, where I'm not sure if it's happened or yet, but basically as soon as the deadline hits, anyone that's left their Pharaoh on Binance basically gets it converted to USDT, which is, going to be the lowest point of value, and they're going to lose a whole lot of money. So I think in terms of strategy, I think that's the strategy we should be pushing for. And I know it's not ideal, and I know you don't want to sell that, but actual fact, that's the point in being in Decred is you get your stuff off of centralized exchanges, because that's where the problems lie. And we are lucky, and I think we're lucky in the fact that, yes, we are on Binance. We can't assume that will always be the way, but we're also lucky that one of the top wallets in the space now supports us fully. So I think, that's the way I would approach that. And I think that would be a really good initiative. Otherwise, we do get into these scenarios of we're just another coin that's going to just get dumped, whereas trying to get them to use the products. And that's what I say about maybe just having a little giveaway, a $1 or a $5 giveaway, to just get them to put it onto their Cake wallet or something. But tough strides there. Sorry, Exitus, you can say something.
No, I don't have anything more to add. I think the initiative is really good that you're stepping up to drive interest in your region, and obviously things about Africa that we don't and how to approach it. So I think that's certainly it's been really good to see.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I can't commend you guys enough. The posts that I've been seeing are very good. Actually, they're high quality, and I see we got Zhao in the chat there, and it's pushing these guys to kind of, the people that are part of the Vanguard project, to actually hopefully improve their content as well, because it has been very, very good. And that's ultimately what we need. We need people out there shouting about the values of Decred, but also we need people out there that are advocates. They're evangelists is the word I'm using lately, that show people, hey, look, these are the products you should be using. This is how I use it, this is what you should be doing, and this is why you should be doing it. And that's the most important message we can actually sell right now, I think. Sorry, when you go.
Yes. So but when it comes to telling people about how we use the product, let's say, for example, the Crypto Power wallet. I do use the Crypto Power wallet, right? Because I'm always on mobile. Yeah. So if someone asks me how can I get Decred, yeah, obviously they can get it on Crypto Power, and also fiat Decred is not yet supported on Cake, right? I'll most likely tell them, okay, you can buy on Binance, right? But if you want 100% custody of your tokens, right, you have to move them to a better wallet. We have Crypto Power, we have Cake Wallet. You can choose any of these two, right? That is perfect. But first, we want to get them interested and not, send them, like, for example, someone asks, okay, Decred, you send to Crypto Power, and now they are in Crypto Power, and they're wondering, how can I buy Decred on Crypto Power, right? So, we have to figure out all of these nuances early on, and then we're able to handle it before it causes a bigger challenge for us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm curious, since you bring up Crypto Power, I am curious. Do you see Crypto Power being continued to be developed?
Yes, I do, 100%. They've made great progress, and the app is functional. Yes, although we still have some small bugs we need to fix, but Crypto Power, I see a future with Crypto Power.
That's great. Well, I'm interested to see what happens with that. Obviously, for those in the audience, Crypto Power is no longer being funded by the DAO. They did have I think about 150 over the course of 150K over the course of 2 years. So there should be enough money there to kind of get it to a really functional state in my eyes. But it will be interesting because obviously when the previous wallet, which was DCR Go, I can't remember, when that got defunded, literally it just went, nope, we're not developing it anymore. So it'd be interesting to see where Kennedy and Philemon actually take this product and see if it keeps getting adapted. And like you say, they were making great progress in terms of Cake Wallet. Like I say, hopefully we'll have Cake Pay, which means you'll be able to not only buy Decred and swap Decred, but you're also going to be able to exchange it for crypto gift cards and pay cards. So that stuff's all coming. I think you guys and CryptoPower have already got something similar to that as well.
Yes, I think it was planned work to add that feature. It was part of our planned work, but I didn't see it materialize yet. Although people can actually swap on the CryptoPower with other dexes. We can swap from BTC to Decred and from LTC, to Decred. I've used the service before and it works well.
Great stuff. Well, I'm watching that space really, really keenly. The other question that I have, and the final question I have, and I expect X has got a few more on the dev side of things, but the final question I have is, at the moment, if you look at Decred's node map, Africa has zero nodes. Do you have any incentive or any kind of initiatives there to actually put 1 or 2 nodes on the map so we can say, hey, Decred Africa has arrived. There's now no Decred nodes in the region.
Sure. So right now I'm outside and I'm low on battery. My phone would probably just shut down in a few minutes, so I would have to run. But then when it comes to having a few nodes here in Africa, yes, to improve sync times, we would have to consider that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, I would personally get behind a proposal that are actively showing us that they mean business, that they're actually adding to the security of the network by just visually by doing these things. Philemon, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Before your battery runs out, Exodus, have you got any more questions for him?
No, I think we covered just about everything. I'd like to thank Philemon for taking time to come on and talk to us.
Oh, fantastic. And have you got any final words before we let you go?
Sure. So we've got great plans for Decred Africa, and we're looking to have the community support as we prefer to present a proper proposal that outlines what we intend to do for Decred through Decred Africa, and all the initiatives that we have in mind to include as part of our strategy to get people interested in the Decred ecosystem.
Oh, great stuff. It's brilliant. And I mean, I'm an avid follower, so I like to see when you post PRs, and I kind of have a little read through them. So it's great to finally get you on a chat and hear you speak. And obviously, if you ever want to come on and tell us more about what you're up to, you're always welcome. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join the stream, and it has been a pleasure. Thank you.
We've got a Twitter space midweek as well, Philemon. If you fancy joining that as well and adding to that with your team, that'd be great as well. But absolute pleasure. We'll speak soon.
Yeah, sure. Bye for now.
Bye now. So
Bye-bye.
Exodus, back to where we were at, and I forgot what it was, but that was absolutely great talking to Philemon there from Decred Africa, and answering some pretty tough questions there. And I think it's very important that we kind of get these people on, whether we agree with what they're trying to do or whether we don't agree with them. I think it's really important to get proposal people on and kind of talk through, just give them a chance to say, hey, this is what we're doing. And generally, I've been pretty impressed with what they're doing. I want to see everyone else in the Vanguard community kind of upping to that game. There should be a competition for who can produce the best Decred content, who can onboard the most people, really. Because that's what the Vanguard project's all about, and obviously that's going forward. But that was a great conversation, actually. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing some good work for sure. Some interesting insights regarding the, reviewing status or the reviewing process on DCRDATA. And, as we were saying, if we put forward a developer bounty to fix things, it would be a little scary if people do the work and it never gets reviewed and implemented. So I think that's something that the community has to seriously kind of look at. And, this is all about, progress and finding solutions to these issues. Identifying problems and finding solutions is, how you get better as a project, how you get better as a community. And I think that's something we have to look into. If DCR data isn't being maintained, we have to obviously find maintainers and make sure people are reviewing things. I mean, aside from the things we mentioned, I don't think there's really anything else to fix. There's just, the hash rate chart attack. If the attack cost calculator isn't fixed, you might as well just remove it, right? Because it's outdated. And what was the other one? The markets page. Now, I believe he did the work for the markets page. It's just waiting for review. But this is all, good information.
I think so. And to be fair, there should be zero reason that Decred can't employ people with a specific task of doing the reviewing posts and that. So maybe that is something we need to talk about before we move forward and doing this. And I'll put it clearly, this isn't about big work. What myself and Exitus are proposing here is about really small work. As we see something, or as somebody in the community sees something that's just niggles them, like a link doesn't work, or like Exitus says about the a certain chart doesn't work, or we want another specific chart, we basically put up a job order on a website and say, look, if you want to do this job, this very small job, this is the rough hours it's going to take, and this is the end payout. And that's basically the whole idea. And I liked what Philemon said there, is that actual fact, that could be a great way of getting people on board. They do the small jobs, say, all right, that person's done that job, that went well, or, that didn't go well. But it would need somebody more qualified than you and I to kind of to manage that. So it might, that idea might need a little bit more thought on that. But generally there's no reason we shouldn't be doing that, I don't think. And getting these niggly problems solved would be a great thing. It's no different than what the guys doing the revamp are doing, going through the documentation, kind of rejigging it to make sure the front-facing documentation actually is up to date. And there's nothing worse. And I remember when I joined the community all those years ago now, everything was up to date. Everything looked really good. Decred had the best block explorer, and in my opinion still has the best block explorer. And it was very easy for me to navigate the documents, navigate the block explorer, and navigate, well, not necessarily to chat. The chat has always been a bit of a problematic, but everything else up to date, and it was very easy for me to find out what I needed. And now I just think after those many years, maybe we just need to give it a bit of love and care.
I agree completely. That I think I love DCR data. It looks brilliant. The charts look brilliant. I don't know why there's kind of this fall off in some of these areas where they kind of get ignored. But you're right. That's another thing that's happening is they are gonna, part of the latest proposal with Aaron is to go in and fix the documentation. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to turn out, and I hope it's just they produce something professional that we can be proud of. They do have kind of a lot under their on their plate right now with regards to the websites, and hopefully we can bring on Aaron at some point, maybe later down the road, to discuss these things. One other thing we were going to talk about here was, as far as the DEX is concerned, they are doing that. They are looking into doing a redesign and actually getting community feedback, not just from Decred people, but external people, which I think is fantastic, because to date, really, I don't think we've ever engaged in community feedback in regards to Decred products. So I think that's a really good change to ask people, hey, like, what do you want to see? What's the experience like? And these are all like key things for people. What is the user experience like? Now, one thing we've discussed is the problem of liquidity and volume on the DEX, because the reality is it doesn't matter how good of a design you have. If you show up and there's kind of empty order books or there's a large spread, people aren't going to stick around. And when it comes to centralized exchanges, if you don't have good liquidity, they just delist you. They say, hey, your liquidity sucks. We don't want to have order books that are empty, so we're going to delist your coin. And that's what happens to a lot of coins. It's pretty interesting. I spoke with Hummingbot, and they actually started running trading competitions. So they have the liquidity mining, which is what we do now, but now they're actually running trading competitions where if you do a bunch of trades, you actually get rewarded and their system tracks it. And they said one of the reasons they started that is because KuCoin is now delisting coins that don't have the proper amount of trading. So coins are like running these competitions in order to just stay on these exchanges, which is kind of funny. But anyways, I've reached out to them and basically said, hey, we have a DEX. We want to improve the liquidity. And they looked at it, and they're still looking at it right now. But basically, they said we could do trading competitions, and because everything on the DEX is on chain, we can actually monitor who's doing trades, and we could reward them. So I think that's a super interesting thing that could be done. That literally we can run a trading competition on DCRUSDC to kind of bring it to life and make it exciting. Or we could potentially do the liquidity mining, which rewards people for having orders on the books under the 2% mark. So that is something that could happen. It might cost some money for them to build a connector to the DEX. There might need to be some upfront funding initially, but it's something we could do, and that's something I'm really excited about to see that happen.
I mean, firstly, for anyone in the chat, and we've got 249 people watching, the work that Exitus is doing behind the scenes with people and partners like Hummingbot is absolutely incredible. And you can't underestimate all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes is absolutely massive. Now, Hummingbot have proven themselves to be a valid company, and they're adding, I think it was 50K a day or something like that volume to our Binance exchange. So the idea with this trading competition is it would start tentatively, but it might, they'd start probably on the USDC DCR pair, and that would help us build up all that liquidity. So yeah, a massive thank you for all the work you're doing there. And I just want to give a shout out because that doesn't get seen, and that is crazy important. But it is.
Another thing is, just really quick, we are going to be on nonkyc.io, so I've been working with them as well. They had a bunch of questions because, when you add a layer one, they've mainly been adding like layer two coins like on Solana or Ethereum or whatever. So the layer one stuff's a little more complex, but we should be on nonkyc.io this week. It's about done, so it should be this week. I'm going to ping them and see what's up with it, but even they have minimum liquidity requirements. You have to run a liquidity pool to even be listed on a smaller exchange, which I think is fine. I think really on DCRDEX, Bison Wall, we should have the same thing. Like if your coin's going to be there, you have to run a market maker. You have to have some liquidity. There has to be some life. There has to be incentives. So we should be on there, and I think that's going to be exciting. There are two other exchanges I am talking with. One is Ascendex. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, or in Biconomy. Biconomy is interesting because it is available in the US, but there's no fiat pairs. And so those are two potential exchanges we can get on. There are fees, of course. There are listing fees, and Biconomy even has a market making requirement where you have to bring a market maker. So there are some challenges there, but I'd be really curious to see if the community even wants to be on these exchanges. Obviously, we want the blue chip exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, but those are really hard to get on. Like it is so disheartening. I would love to get on there, but it is just a black hole with them. But my hope is if Decred can break into the top 100, so we have had some pretty good momentum. We were at, on CoinMarketCap at number 280, and over the past year we have moved to about between 160, 170, which is great progress. And if we can keep this momentum and break into, say, the top 100, I can't imagine why Coinbase, Crypto.com, Kraken, how could they possibly ignore Decred? They are listing literal junk. They're listing coins, useless coin, fart coin. They are picking and choosing the absolute worst coins and giving them like these grand listings. And I feel if Decred can move into the top 100 at some point, how can they ignore it?
Well, I mean, as a badge of honor, we are a tier 6 now, the highest tier of rejectable coin. So yeah, we're up there with all the privacy coins, which is woohoo, a badge of honor stuff. But no, in all honesty, it would be good. It would be good to get onto Coinbase, but I mean, in this current environment, I don't see it. I just think they've turned into a complete nonsense. but well done for all the work you're doing, getting on the listings and getting the ball rolling, getting people to kind of know about us and stuff. And I mean, in terms of the Hummingbot liquidity competitions, you know, if that's successful, realistically, there should be no reason that if the target is 2%, there should be no reason that we can't generate a few thousand dollars on either side of each pair at that 2% mark. And once that happens, it becomes such a more viable product. You know, having constant liquidity becomes such a more viable product. And I don't know about you, but I can promote to all my friends, all the people online, and anyone I come in contact with, a user experience that is ready to use. When people go on to buy some wallet at the minute, and it's a great product, and I'm not slaying the guys because they've done well, but when they go on there at the minute and they see those empty order books, it's disheartening. And I completely agree with you when you say, actually, in fact, there should be a minimum requirement. You know, you should bring a market maker. And from some of the conversations we've been having now, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say any of this either, so I'm going to be careful. But some of the conversations we've been having basically suggest that it's going to be easier for these new pairs to get market makers. It's going to be easier to get their wallets up and running, and everything is just going to be so much more slicker. So yeah, lots to look forward to. And in terms of what Buck and John are doing with the Buy Some Wallet testing campaign, it looks incredible. The work they're doing there, they're ironing everything out, making the user experience better. So wouldn't it be great to get the new design and get the liquidity all going, boom, at the same time? You know, almost like another big release, but it's just so much easier to kind of market towards. If that doesn't work, or if that doesn't come off, other ideas were to create market maker proposals, or even have some kind of mechanism inside of Buy Some Wallet that kind of allows us to kind of have these competitions built into market making incentives built into Buy Some Wallet, which could be interesting. Any other thoughts on that, Exitus?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a homegrown system for liquidity incentives, just because any time you go through Hummingbot, you have to obviously pay them for their services, which is, you know, I forget the exact fee, maybe $2,000 a month. It's not a huge amount of money, but one positive there is you're tapping into their ecosystem. So they obviously over the years have built up an ecosystem and community of people who are willing to do these things and providing liquidity and you know, knowing that Hummingbot has a reward system. But at this point, obviously, we've kind of established that Decred on the base layer is basically finished. They've said this. It is a finished layer one. We have the staking, the governance, the privacy. We have a DEX. There's not really too much more to add. There's the Lightning Network for the scalability. So I don't see any problems with using the Treasury Fund to help with liquidity, to help with getting exchange listings. Like, I don't really even know what else we'd even use the Treasury for at this point, other than just wanting to be frugal with it, because we know in the future it could be worth so much more money. If Decred's at about $17 right now, which is so in the Treasury we have about $15 million worth of Decred. Obviously, Decred does a 10x, goes to $170, which you could easily do. That's $150 million, which is incredible. But even at current prices, I don't see the problem with spending, you know, say $20,000 to help liquidity on the DEX, just to make it such a better user experience. Because I've had it where I've wanted to trade Decred, but I literally can't, because the DCR USDC pair is either empty or there's an 8% spread, which is unusable. So literally, I am forced to use centralized exchanges at times. And of course, the DCR BTC pair is a bit better. The volume and liquidity there has improved quite a bit, but even then you're dealing with, you know, kind of the minimum trade is 40 Decred per trade, which isn't going to appeal to everyone. One interesting thing is you pointed this out. That is actually the only place you can trade Decred in Bitcoin is on the DEX, which is really interesting. And another thing we've been talking about is adding Buy Some Wallet or DCRDEX to all of these trade aggregators, which is CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, and there's all these DEX websites which list all the DEXs. And there are days when Buy Some Wallet does $100,000 in volume, and literally it would probably be number 3 of overall volume for Decred on these exchanges, which would put it near the top. So not being on CoinMarketCap, I think, has really hurt the DEX's visibility, especially now that that is the only place where you can trade Decred and Bitcoin. So that is one big thing we'd love to see is maybe hire someone to get that work kind of banged out, at the very least, just for Decred Bitcoin, and have that visibility.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about, that initiative earlier, isn't it? Is actually having a dev bounty to get that kind of work done. Why not? It kind of makes no sense for us not to kind of to leverage that. Really, it'd also be nice to kind of. There's a few other things on CoinMarketCap, and I know that's not a big priority, but there's a few other things that could help us. One of the things that their AI bot asks for, and when it's determining why a price is up or down, is can't see a roadmap, and things like that. And it's a bit crazy, really, because it wouldn't take very long for us to put a little roadmap together and kind of just coordinate all of these things. But in terms of Hummingbot, being a market maker for DCRDEX or Bison wallet, you're talking, I would imagine between 20 and 50,000 a year to make that happen, to get really good liquidity at the 2% spread. Now, when you look at other market makers, that wouldn't get you anywhere. That literally anything less than a few million just wouldn't get you anywhere. So the fact that this really reputable kind of algorithmic trading company or it's not even a company, it's like a platform, isn't it? Has come and said, hey, we can do this, and we can get our large liquidity pools to kind of to put trades in, on your platform, run the competitions, get all those order books full, get them up and running, is absolutely huge. And to me, that's the only thing now, as it stands, that's the only thing that really stopping me from going full in on promoting Bison Wallet, because when people come to it, I want them to have a great experience. I don't want them to go, but what am I meant to do? There's nothing there. I want them to have a great experience. And that's the one area. Everything else, I can be up and running on Bison Wallet in a few minutes. And it's a great experience. I'm going to get better, of course. But having that liquidity is just, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? I do think that idea of a dev bounty thing is a good one. I think there's a few ideas to flesh out there, and it'd be really interesting to see how the Hummingbot thing comes back. So 2 things on our plate for this month. Myself and Exitus have been talking all month, actually, and there's so many things kind of rattling around in my brain. It's crazy. Shall we talk about the Unstoppable proposal?
Yeah, I think that's the last thing we kind of have to cover here. Obviously, they have a proposal up for $100,000 to add Decred to their mobile wallet on iOS and Android. And it's pretty interesting because it's not just an integration, but it includes, from what I understand, writing the DCR SPV library natively in Swift and Kotlin, I believe it's called. So as a non-developer, I'm not totally sure on the value there, but from what I understand, there is meaning there. There is value in having it natively done. And I believe there was something with DCR Wallet where I can't remember the exact terminology, but there's something currently where it has to. Man, I wish I knew more about this stuff. But there's something in regards to how DCR Wallet interacts with the software. That's a challenge that they would fix with this, but I'm not completely sure. I wish there were more comments in the proposal. If you guys have any comments on the proposal, please write your comments, write your questions, write your feedback. I think there's only two comments. One was from me. Basically, I asked, hey, is this going to be real SPV? Because SPV has a lot of different definitions. Sometimes it's just like a light wallet that's Electrum. That is not how Decred operates. Decred uses compact block filters. And basically, you're getting the data directly from full nodes all around the world, just as you would expect. You're not looking at some sort of centralized server. And kind of the drawback there is the node is going to be a bit bigger. It takes a little bit longer to sync, but it's doing so in like this completely decentralized and permissionless manner, which is what we want, and which is what we use for Cake Wallet, Decrediton, Bison Wallet. So that's the main question: is this going to be done properly, or is this some sort of like shortcut manner, right?
Well, I have had a little delve through the code, and I couldn't see any references to neutrino or the BIP that neutrino actually goes towards. I did see a few things for the bloom filter implication. Most of their code is C++, and obviously it's got a wrapper of the Swift wrapper or the Android wrapper. So I'm not 100% sure. And myself and Exitus for the last 2 weeks have put a shout out to the Unstoppable guys to come on and have these conversations. We're hoping that they'll come on to the Twitter space. Are we doing Twitter space midweek?
Yeah, so I think we should do a Twitter space this week and have them on, and if they can't make it, we should just do it anyway. So
Yeah.
if, hopefully later this week we can have a Twitter space talking directly with the team. They said they are interested in doing an in-depth conversation, which I think would be super beneficial to hear them, and I think that's a good sign that they're willing to come and talk to us. Like it shows a level of confidence.
I definitely would like to have that conversation. I'm not convinced at the moment, so I would need that reassurance. But yeah, let's do a Twitter space midweek. I see we've got Zhao in the comments. Zhao, if you want to come onto the Twitter space midweek, it'd be great to have you on, talk about your Decred Brazil stuff and what you've got planned for that as well. Start getting all these things going as well, and be great to talk to you again. We haven't talked for a long time. But yeah, Unstoppable Wallet. I'm a mixed bag. I really want to hear if they are serious about compact filters, if it's going to be a tool set for Swift and Android that could be quite useful, whether it's worth the 100K, which is, I think someone said it's like 150,000 dev hours or something like that, which seems a bit crazy to me. I'm not sure about whether it's worth the value, but it would certainly be nice to talk to those guys and work that bit out. I only have one last thing to say, Exodus, and that is Decred passed 1 million blocks a few weeks ago. So congratulations to us. But other than that,
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's great. Any final words, Exodus?
Just the final thoughts. We're past the million block mark. If you add up the numbers of the staked Decred in the treasury, which are all basically locked in the system, it comes out to something like 11 million Decred is like locked away. And the circulating Decred, that is free Decred, is only about 6 million. And so if you were to take into account all of the Decred probably lost over the years, because Decred's been out for almost 10 years now, like there really isn't that much Decred to go around. And we have a lot of committed stakeholders. So my point is, we hopefully in this next bull market, we should see a supply shock. And this is something you pointed out, on Twitter. There's a lot of buying on the DEX, which is great to see. Coins are being pulled off the market. And I think Decred is in a really good place. We just have to iron out these few last details on the block explorer, making the user experience great, having a roadmap, and hopefully these puzzle pieces fall together with the refresh that is being done by Aaron, with the design research by Buck and John on Bison Wallet, and what we're doing. Hopefully we can make something happen with Hummingbot, where we're running liquidity campaigns, we're running on trading competitions, finally on the DEX, something really exciting to bring people there. And hopefully everything just comes together. Ethereum just hit a new all-time high. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high the other week, and hopefully, Decred gets its turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to go too much into the data that I'm reading, because I shouldn't. But yeah, there's some really exciting stuff happening. That's all I'm saying. But guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Exus, always great talking to you. And I mean, we've talked so much this month, and there's so much going on and so many kind of moving parts. Yeah, it's going to be a great few months. Look, let's all catch up on midweek. Anybody in the audience that wants to come on and ask questions, say their piece, let's get more Decred people involved in this stuff. With the Twitter Spaces, you don't need to put your face on there, so it's just audio, but it would be great to hear you guys. If you're not sure about how to join, or you want me to invite you or whatever, just let me know, and I'll give you a hands up, or Exus will give you a hands up and get you in so you can have a talking part. But it'd be great to hear from Decred Brazil guys, Decred Africa guys, the Unstoppable Wallet guys. If Buck and John are around, it'd be great to hear from you, so you can actually say your piece about the the people that you need for your testing personally. And we also didn't say that they are paying for people to test as well. So it's not a matter of come along and test. They're actually going to pay for your feedback. So anyone that's interested, it'd be good to have those people on. And that's it, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Exitus, I'll see you next month. Or see you Wednesday. Take care, everyone.
Wednesday or Thursday. Take care, guys.
Take care.